You wake up, you grab your phone before your feet hit the floor. You scroll Instagram for 7 minutes looking at vacation photos from people you barely know. You check email, you respond to a text. You finally get up, start coffee, maybe shower, may not, grab something quick to eat or skip breakfast entirely, and you're out the door or logged into work. The day has started and you haven't made a single intentional decision about your life. You're in reactive mode before 8 a.m. And this pattern, this completely normal, totally relatable pattern that describes 90% of people's mornings, is the exact reason you're broke. Not because you don't make enough money, not because you had bad luck or started from nothing, but because you're spending 365 days a year letting life happen to you instead of making life happen for you. And nowhere is this more obvious than in your relationship with money. You make financial decisions the same way you started your morning, reactively, randomly, based on whatever stimulus is in front of you at that moment. A bill comes in, you pay it. You want something, you buy it if the account has money. You get paid, you feel temporary relief. You run low, you feel temporary panic. You're not driving, you're being driven. And after years of this, you look around and wonder why nothing's changed. My name is Orion Invests, and I've spent years studying the microscopic daily habits that separate people who build wealth from people who stay perpetually broke at every income level. If you've ever felt like you're working hard but going nowhere financially, if you've ever wondered what successful people do differently that you're missing, hit that subscribe button because this video is going to show you the single daily practice that makes staying broke almost mathematically impossible. Here's what I'm going to break down in the next 20 minutes. I'm going to show you the exact daily routine, takes less than 15 minutes, that forces your brain to operate in wealth building mode instead of survival mode. I'm going to reveal why people who do this every single day end up wealthy almost by accident, while people who skip it stay broke even with high incomes. I'm going to expose the psychological mechanisms that keep you making the same financial mistakes on autopilot, and how one daily habit disrupts that pattern completely. And I'm going to give you the step-by-step framework you can start tomorrow morning that will fundamentally rewire your financial operating system. Let's start with what being broke actually means. Because I'm not talking about your bank account balance. I know people making $35,000 who are building wealth, and people making $150,000 who are broke. Being broke isn't about income. It's about the relationship between what comes in and what goes out, combined with your trajectory. Being broke is when you have no margin, no buffer, no optionality. When an unexpected $800 expense creates a crisis. When you can't envision a financial future that's meaningfully different from your present. When you're working just as hard at 40 as you were at 25, with nothing accumulated to show for those 15 years except more responsibility. According to a 22-3 survey by Bankrate, 57% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency expense from savings. A study from the Financial Health Network found that only 29% of Americans are considered financially healthy based on metrics of spending, saving, borrowing, and planning. This isn't a fringe problem. This is the majority experience. And here's what almost no one wants to acknowledge. For most people, this isn't happening because of circumstances. It's happening because of systems, specifically the absence of systems. You don't have a daily financial practice. You have a collection of sporadic reactions to financial stimuli. And sporadic reactions to stimuli is how you train a dog, not how you build a life. The daily practice I'm going to show you solves this at the root level. Here it is. Every single day, before you do anything else with your morning, you spend 12 to 15 minutes doing what I call the wealth consciousness routine. It has 3 components, each one designed to counteract a specific psychological trap that keeps people broke. You do these 3 things in order, every day, no exceptions. And if you do this for 90 consecutive days, staying broke becomes almost impossible because you've fundamentally reprogrammed how your brain processes financial information. Component 1, transaction review, 5 minutes. You open your primary checking account, your credit cards, and any other accounts you spent from yesterday. You review every single transaction from the previous day, not from last week, not when you feel like it, yesterday's transactions, today. You're looking at what you actually spent money on in the last 24 hours while the decisions are still fresh in your memory. Here's why this matters more than anything else you could do. Most people have no idea where their money goes, not because they're dumb or irresponsible, but because human memory for small transactions is catastrophically bad. A study from the Journal of Consumer Research found that people underestimate their spending by an average of 30% when asked to recall what they spent in the past week. They're not lying. They genuinely don't remember the $8 lunch, the $15 app subscription that auto-renewed, the $32 at Target for just a few things. This memory gap creates a financial reality distortion field. You feel like you're not spending much because you don't remember spending much. But your account balance tells a different story. The money disappeared, you just can't account for where it went. This gap between perception and reality is what keeps people broke forever. They're making decisions based on a false model of their own behavior. The daily transaction review destroys this illusion. When you see yesterday's Starbucks charge, yesterday's DoorDash order, yesterday's Amazon impulse purchase, You can't pretend it didn't happen. You can't round it down to zero in your mental model. And here's what's psychologically crucial. You're seeing it 24 hours later, not a month later when the credit card statement comes. At 24 hours, you still remember the decision. You remember that you ordered delivery because you didn't feel like cooking. You remember that you bought the thing on Amazon because it was on sale, not because you needed it. This creates what psychologists call temporal proximity between action and consequence. When consequence follows action immediately, behavior changes. When consequence is delayed by weeks or months, behavior doesn't change because your brain doesn't connect them. By reviewing daily, you're compressing the feedback loop from 30 days to 1 day. And that compression is the difference between learning and repeating. Here's what you do during these 5 minutes. You look at each transaction and you ask one question. Was this aligned with my financial goals, or was this reactive spending? You're not judging yourself. You're not creating guilt. You're just labeling grocery shopping because you meal prepped, aligned. Getting takeout because you were tired, reactive. Paying your electric bill, aligned. Buying something because you got a promotional email, reactive. You make a mental note or a physical note of the reactive spending total. That's it. You don't need a complex budget category system. You just need awareness of how much you're spending reactively versus intentionally. That one number, tracked daily, changes everything. Let me show you why with real numbers. The average American spends approximately $300 per month on reactive purchases they wouldn't make if they had to consciously approve them in advance. Coffee runs, convenience food, impulse purchases, subscriptions they forgot about, sales they couldn't resist. That's $3,600 per year disappearing into a memory hole. If you're doing daily transaction review, you see these charges within 24 hours. After about 2 weeks of seeing $6.50 Starbucks show up in your review every single day, something shifts. Not because you decided to budget differently or because you're using willpower, but because the daily visibility makes the pattern undeniable. You start making different decisions because you know you'll see the consequence tomorrow morning. That $300 monthly in prevented reactive spending, if redirected to investing, becomes $176,000 over 20 years at 7% returns. The daily review doesn't just make you aware, it makes you wealthy by preventing the slow leak that keeps most people broke. Component 2 projection update, 5 minutes. After you've reviewed yesterday's transactions, you update your projection for the rest of the month. This is different from a budget. A budget is what you hope will happen. A projection is what will actually happen based on current behavior and known upcoming expenses. Here's how it works. You take your current account balance, you add any income you're certain will arrive before month end, you subtract all bills and fixed expenses that will definitely hit before month end. You subtract your average daily spending rate multiplied by days remaining in the month. What you're left with is your projected end-of-month balance. If that number is positive and above your minimum buffer, you're on track. If it's negative or below your minimum buffer, you have a problem that needs solving today, not on the 29th when you're already in crisis mode. This is the key insight. Most people discover they're going to run out of money 3 days before they run out of money. At that point, their options are all bad: borrow, skip a bill, or panic. When you're doing daily projection updates, you see the problem coming 3 weeks out. You have time to adjust. You can pick up an extra shift, you can cut discretionary spending, you can move money from savings temporarily, you have options because you have time. Here's a concrete example. Sarah does her projection on the 8th of the month, current balance $2,200, income coming $1,800 from her second paycheck on the 15th. Fixed expenses remaining $1,650 for rent, car, insurance, minimum debt payments, average daily discretionary spending based on the last week, $45 per day, days remaining 22% of turrets. Her math, $2,200 current plus $1,800 income minus $1,650 fixed minus $990 discretionary equals $1,360 projected end-of-month balance. She wants to maintain a $1,000 minimum buffer, so she's on track with $360 margin. But now she notices something. Her car registration is due on the 24th and she forgot to include it. That's $280. Now her projection is $1,080 end-of-month balance. Still above her $1,000 buffer, but margin is down to $80. She makes a decision on the 8th, not the 24th. She's going to reduce discretionary spending to $35 per day for the rest of the month, which saves her $220 and puts her back to $300 margin. This is financial adulthood. This is what it looks like to be in control rather than being controlled. And it takes 5 minutes per day. Compare this to the typical approach. Most people check their balance when they're about to spend money. They see $2,200 and think I'm fine. They don't mentally subtract the rent that's coming, the bills that will hit, the normal spending that will happen. They make decisions based on a number that doesn't represent reality. Then on the 24th, the car registration bounces because they only have $890 in the account. Now they're paying overdraft fees or putting it on a credit card. The crisis was entirely preventable with daily projection updates. Research from the Financial Health Network shows that people who check their financial accounts daily are 2.3 times more likely to be financially healthy than people who check monthly. It's not because daily checkers make more money, it's because they see problems before they become crises. Component 3, automation verification. 3 to 5 minutes, the final component is confirming that the automated systems you've built are functioning. You're checking that your automatic transfer to investments went through, that your bill pays are scheduled correctly, that your savings allocation happened, that no automatic subscriptions charged you that you meant to cancel. This sounds boring and unnecessary until you realize that automation failure is one of the most common ways people derail financially without noticing. A study from IDA Group found that approximately 15% of recurring payments fail each month due to card expiration, insufficient funds, or technical errors. If one of those failed payments is your automated investment transfer, you just lost a month of compound growth. Without knowing it, if it's a bill payment, you just got a late fee and a credit score ding. The automation verification step catches these failures within 24 hours instead of 30 days later. More importantly, it keeps you psychologically connected to the automated systems you've built. One of the weird paradoxes of automation is that it works brilliantly until it doesn't. And when it fails silently. By verifying daily, you're maintaining active oversight while keeping the benefits of automation. Here's what this component looks like practically. You open your investment account and confirm yesterday's or last week's scheduled transfer completed. Takes 30 seconds. You check your bill payment schedule and confirm everything queued for the next 7 days is correct. Takes 1 minute. You scan your subscription list and confirm nothing is charging you that you don't actively want. Takes 2 minutes. You verify your savings account received its automatic allocation. Takes 30 seconds. Total time, 4 minutes. Total value, you just ensured that all the systems that build wealth in the background are functioning perfectly. You caught the gym membership you forgot to cancel. You notice that your investment transfer failed because your checking balance was too low, and you can fix it today instead of missing the entire month. You saw that your credit card auto pay is scheduled for an amount higher than your balance, giving you 3 days to transfer money instead of getting hit with fees. Now let's talk about what happens when you combine all 3 components and do this every single day for an extended period. Because this is where it goes from a useful practice to a complete financial transformation. Week 1, it feels like a chore. You're forcing yourself to do it. You're not seeing massive changes. You're just becoming aware of things you were previously ignoring. This week is about building the habit, not about results. Week 2 to 4, patterns become visible. You notice that you spend more on weekends, that every Thursday you seem to order delivery, that the first week after payday your spending spikes. You're not yet changing behavior significantly, but you're seeing your actual behavior instead of your idealized version of your behavior. Week 5 to 8, behavior starts shifting automatically. You're about to order delivery on Thursday and you think this is going to show up in my review tomorrow. That thought alone is sometimes enough to make a different choice. You see a sale email, and instead of clicking you think, do I want to explain this purchase to myself tomorrow? The daily review has created an internal accountability mechanism. Week 9 to 12, your financial operating system has changed. You're no longer operating reactively. You're making decisions from a place of awareness and projection. You know where you stand financially at any given moment. You know where you're headed. You're catching problems early. You're preventing crises. The practice that felt like a chore now feels like the most important 12 minutes of your day because it's the 12 minutes that determines everything else. Month 4 to 6. You look back at your account balances from 3 months ago and you're genuinely surprised. Your emergency fund has grown without you consciously sacrificing. Your investment account is larger than it's ever been. Your debt is decreasing faster than it was. You didn't get a raise. You didn't win money. You just became aware and operated from that awareness instead of from autopilot. Year 1. You're in a completely different financial reality. The person who couldn't handle a $1,000 emergency now has $8,000 in savings. The person who had $12,000 in credit card debt is down to $3,000. The person who had never invested has $7,500 in a brokerage account. The transformation isn't from heroic effort, it's from daily awareness compounded over time. Let me show you the exact numbers because this is where skeptics become believers. Take someone making $55,000 per year with typical spending patterns. Before implementing the daily routine, they're spending approximately $300 per month on reactive purchases they don't remember making. They're getting hit with approximately $50 per month in fees, overdrafts, late charges, and subscription services they don't use. They're missing out on approximately $200 per month they could invest because they think they don't have it available. Total monthly leak, $550. After implementing the daily routine for 6 months, reactive spending drops to roughly $100 per month because visibility prevents impulse purchases. Fees drop to nearly zero because projection prevents overdrafts and automation verification catches subscriptions. Investable income increases to $450 per month because they see exactly where money is available. Net monthly improvement, $450 per month that was being wasted is now being invested. Over 20 years at 7% average returns, that's $233,000. Over 30 years, it's $551,000. The daily 12-minute routine is worth over $500,000 in wealth creation. That's $42,000 per hour of time invested in the practice. Show me another activity with that return. Now let me address the objections, because I know what you're thinking. Objection 1, I don't have 12 extra minutes in my morning. Yes, you do. You spent 7 minutes scrolling Instagram before you got out of bed. You'll spend 20 minutes on TikTok tonight. You have the time. You're choosing to use it on things that make you poorer instead of things that make you wealthier. This is a priority choice, not a time availability problem. Objection 2, this sounds obsessive and stressful. It's the opposite. What's stressful is wondering where your money went. What's stressful is getting surprised by overdrafts. What's stressful is reaching the end of the month not knowing if you can pay rent. The daily routine eliminates surprise and uncertainty, which are the actual sources of financial stress. Awareness isn't stressful. Ignorance is stressful. Objection 3. I tried budgeting before and it didn't work. This isn't budgeting. Budgets are predictive and restrictive. You're trying to force future behavior into predetermined categories, which requires constant willpower. This is descriptive and responsive. You're observing actual behavior and making adjustments based on reality. It works because it accepts human nature instead of fighting it. Objection 4. What if I see something in my review that makes me feel guilty? Then you feel guilty for one day and make a different choice tomorrow. Guilt from yesterday's purchase is finite and useful. Guilt from discovering a year of wasteful spending when you finally look at your annual summary is overwhelming and paralyzing. Better to feel small amounts of productive guilt daily than catastrophic guilt annually. Here's your implementation plan, because knowing what to do means nothing if you don't actually do it. Tonight, before bed, set up everything you need, download or log into your bank app, your credit card apps, your investment account app. Make sure you can access everything from your phone. Set an alarm for 12 minutes before you normally get out of bed. Not after breakfast, not after your commute. Before anything else happens. This is the first thing you do with your conscious mind each day. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, do not check social media, do not check email, open your banking app and review yesterday's transactions. All of them. Make a note of reactive spending total, then do your projection for the month end. Current balance plus expected income minus known expenses minus projected daily spending. See where you'll end up. Then verify your automations, check that investments, savings, and bill pays are on track. Close the apps, get up, start your day. Do this for 7 consecutive days without missing. After 7 days, it will start feeling normal. After 30 days, it will feel essential. After 90 days, you won't be able to imagine starting your day without it because you'll have seen the results in your actual account balances. Here's what changes at a deeper level when you do this daily. Your relationship with money shifts from avoidance to engagement. Most people avoid looking at their finances because they're afraid of what they'll see. The daily practice makes fear impossible because you never let things get bad enough to be scary. You see small problems when they're small. Your time horizon extends. When you're doing daily projection updates, you start thinking in weeks and months instead of in days and hours. This longer time horizon automatically improves decision quality. Research from behavioral economics shows that people make better financial decisions when they're thinking about future implications rather than immediate gratification. Your identity shifts from consumer to builder. When you review your transactions daily, you start seeing yourself as someone who makes intentional choices about money rather than someone who just spends in hopes. That identity change affects every subsequent financial decision. You don't stop buying coffee because you're budgeting. You stop buying coffee because I'm someone who makes intentional financial decisions and daily coffee isn't aligned with my goals. Your stress decreases exponentially. A study from the American Psychological Association found that 72% of Americans feel stressed about money at least some of the time. The primary source of that stress isn't the actual financial situation. It's the uncertainty. Not knowing where you stand, not knowing if you'll be okay, not knowing what's coming. The daily routine eliminates uncertainty completely. You always know where you stand, where you're going, and what needs to happen. At the end of the day, staying broke isn't about income. It's about awareness. The people who build wealth aren't making 10 times more than you. They're operating with 10 times more awareness of where their money is, where it's going, and whether that aligns with their goals. And that awareness doesn't come from quarterly check-ins or annual reviews. It comes from daily engagement, 12 minutes every morning. That's the difference between staying broke forever and building wealth almost accidentally. If this video showed you exactly what to do tomorrow morning, Hit that subscribe button. I break down the daily practices that separate wealth builders from broke people every single week. Drop a comment telling me what time you're going to do this tomorrow. Accountability starts now. I'll see you in the next one.